Welcome to the Skiffy and Fanny Show's Torture Cinema!
Bull butter, get on the horn and give me some subs. Holy crap, what the hell is that?
I'm really uncomfortable that you just said that. Bull butter?
Bull butter.
Okay. Well, today we're talking about surviving the 2013 direct-to-DVD Asylum-produced Atlantic Rim from 2013, which I've already said, which is also known as Attack from Beneath, Attack from the Atlantic Rim, and From the Sea. This is important. If you see any of these titles, run the other way, according to the script. It's directed by Jared Cohn and written by Richard Lima, Hank Woon Jr., and Thunder Levin. That's not a real name. No, it's not. Based on a story by the director, which he wrote on a cocktail napkin while drunk in New Orleans. That is my ad lib. I don't know if that's true. It stars Graham Greene,
that is true.
David Chokachi, the rapper Treach, and Jackie Moore. Atlantic Rim has a 1.7 rating on IMDb and a 10% on the Rotten Tomatoes Popcorn meter.
Popcorn.
Sorry, it looks like there's two M's there, so I thought Popcomotter. I don't know. Anyway, yeah. So there we go.
Wait, who the hell are you?
I'm Shaun. I'm Shaun.
I'm Daniel.
Anyway,
so this film was selected by our Patreon supporters based on a poll of mockbusters. I don't know why I put an L in there. Mockbusters, a theme suggested by Dan the Transient. This film got far too many votes, perhaps to punish us for last month, when we actually featured a delight of a movie rather than the usual torture.
No, we did not. That is not true. Not true.
If you're not yet subscribed to our Patreon, please join us and get a chance to suggest future torture for us, force it upon us by voting in upcoming polls, and even join us in watching the torture live on Discord.
All right. So I guess before we dive into this mess, we have to talk about what we're drinking. As always, please drink responsibly. Alcohol is not a requirement. You may drink water or a nice Sprecher root beer if you are so inclined. So Daniel, what are you drinking?
So I had wanted, on the suggestion of a friend, I had wanted to make a cocktail that we were going to call the Atlantic Rim, which would be vodka and ginger beer with Old Bay seasoned salt around the rim. And this apparently exists. It's not called the Atlantic Rim, but I didn't have any Old Bay seasoning. I was even going to try to do like a mock Old Bay for the mockbuster. But yeah, no Old Bay. And also I found out I was out of ginger beer. So instead, I'm just going simple and having a Calvados.
How's a Calvados?
I have water as well. It's apple brandy.
Oh, it's just a brand.
No, it's a region. It's a French apple brandy from Calvados.
Oh, okay, got it. I thought that was a cocktail. I don't know my brandies. I'm sorry.
Nope, it's just the region of France that makes apple brandy. And what about you, Shaun?
I am having a beverage. I'm just having a French connection. Right now, I have a $0 alcohol budget. And so making cocktails related to the movies is going to be reserved for very special movies, which this is not. And so I'm just going to let you know right now that this ain't it. And so it's the same stuff I had last time. It's a Saint Remy with a DR More, I think, amaretto. So, which I'll probably get Di Serono next time because that's actually a better amaretto. But yeah, so there we go. So that's what I'm having.
Still sounds lovely.
Oh, it's good. A French Connection is a perfectly suitable drink. It's one of my favorite cocktails, and I don't drink very often anymore. So when I get to have one, it is lovely. All right, Daniel, what's this movie about?
So it's a ripoff of Pacific Rim, of course. It starts with an oil rig in the Gulf of Mexico that is drilled down into the ocean or the Gulf floor, and oil's leaking out, and they're wondering what's going on, and then all of a sudden, this big dinosaur-like monster rears up its head and destroys the oil rig. So the military is trying to figure out what happened to this oil rig, and they decide that this would be an awesome opportunity to test the Armada program that was designed by Dr. Margaret Adams, that is basically giant robots that seem designed for deep sea missions or deep sea rescue, but it's unclear how you expect to rescue humans from like 800 fathoms deep underneath the ocean, the top of the ocean. But anyway, this is what they decide to do. And so they send the three soldiers who work in these giant robot suits down to the bed of the Gulf of Mexico to find out what happened to the rig and find survivors on the bottom of the Gulf floor, despite the pressures.
Don't worry about that. We'll come back.
They see a monster, the dinosaur monster, like kind of vaguely, and they see a bunch of wreckage. They see it. And one of the reckless member of the trio goes chasing after the monster against orders. The monster and the giant robot come up on the shores of, it's Pensacola, but somewhere in the Gulf, presumably. New Orleans, it seems to be, but Pensacola.
Yes.
Geography's weird here. And manage to like grapple and fight the monster. And the director of the movie comes in on a fighter pilot, a jet plane, and fires a missile into the open mouth of the monster, and monster goes boom.
That's so really the director?
Yeah, that's the director.
Oh, God. Oh, I'm even more angry now.
So, yeah, that's Jared Cohn. And so then the trio, and I don't even remember, the trio is Red, Tracy, and Jim. I to look their names because I just forget.
I mean, they're largely forgettable characters. So.
I mean, most of the characters are. They're cookie cutter. But
true.
So everybody thinks everything is fine, but then one of the military people tells the admiral that, hey, there's this super top secret program that we didn't tell you about that got killed and went underground or private funded, that detected that there were 2 eggs, and we kind of knew about these monsters, and yeah, there's another one out there. And so then, sure enough, the other one hatches from the egg and comes and attacks a military base, where the reckless military guy who saved the day was detained by MPs because he disobeyed orders, technically. But he, like, gets out, and they suit up to go try to fight the monster. There's upgrades that end up happening where they have like these little halos they wear around their heads, so they can like be more at one with the robots, and so their thoughts can immediately transfer to like mechanistic movement. And they fight the other monster who's like 3 times bigger, I think, and they have a big fight. It's somehow off the Atlantic coast, though, now, even though everything else was in the Gulf of Mexico, and this giant one is attacking New York City. So there's, like, a huge fight, and the reckless guy, once again, has to step in, and I forgot to mention that military guy that told the admiral about the top secret program, his name is Sheldon Geiss, and he's got a patch on one eye, so you know he's really bad, and he's going to be like the villain.
Oh no, we know because he's now in Congress.
Attitude.
Yeah, he's in Congress now.
He's in Congress now.
Yeah.
That's not surprising. So he turns out he's on the horn with some other military guy that wants to send nukes to destroy the monsters. And they don't seem to care that, there's people in New York City. And nukes might want to be like a last resort, but that's like his number one go-to thing. But the admiral keeps telling him, no, we're not going to put in nukes. But Geiss ends up basically getting them to send in nukes regardless. So the reckless pilot guy, he's got to both fight the monster and deal with, and the other 2 are helping him, have to both fight this big monster, but then also intercept the nuke. And so he grabs nuke in one hand, or 2 hands, I guess, to hold it. And then he like rams the monster, and they go up into space, like at the end of the Avengers. And he nukes the big monster in space, and he falls back to Earth in the robot suit, and the robot suit like disintegrates as he lands, and he like 2 seconds after that he gets up and looks around and he's perfectly fine, and everybody cheers and they go out for shots. The end.
I hate it. I don't like this.
That was way longer than
it you think?
Needed to be, but
yeah, we're gonna have questions about this terrible movie, to say the least.
There's a lot of stuff that doesn't make sense about it.
Yeah, I just want to clarify that the actor who plays Geis in this movie is not literally in Congress. There is presently a Congress member of the U.S. House of Representatives who looks very much like him, whose name is Dan Crenshaw, and is a kind of a giant turd. Although he did serve in the U.S. military, so there is enough connection there for my joke to stand. So
does he have an eye patch?
He literally has an eye patch. Because he lost his eye in the war. Like, I mean, there's a whole SNL thing. Because when the guy was running for Congress, Pete Davidson on SNL did a whole joke. I can't remember the line. It doesn't matter. Right? He did a joke about him having an eye patch. And people got mad because he lost his eye literally while he was on a SEAL team. And so, like, you know, an explosive blew his eye out. And so, you know, yeah. Like, kind of poor taste joke.
His nickname in the movie is Snake. He's Sheldon Snake, guys, apparently.
Yeah, Snake is another reference to Metal Gear Solid.
Oh.
Anyway, yeah, so Dan Crenshaw now is Congress, and anytime he speaks, I hope the hellmouth underneath Washington opens up and sucks it up. Not literally, because hellmouths don't cancel me. The hellmouth's not real, guys. It's all, like, made up. Like, calm down. Oh, good Lord. Yeah, it's not real. It's not a real thing. It was in Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I literally had to explain this to my students, Daniel.
That Buffy isn't real?
Yeah, it's not a real story. She moves to Sunnydale, and she thinks she's going to have a quiet life where she could be a 16-year-old girl in high school. And it turns out they conveniently moved to the town where there's literally a direct hole to hell in the town. And so now she has to fight, like, the master vampire and all the other master vampires and more vampires and weird creatures and all kinds of things, all while trying to be a 16-year-old girl in high school, trying to have normal 16-year-old girl things, except she can throw a man across a football field because she's got superpowers, because she's a slayer, and she was chosen. And yet she technically dies at one point, and then she comes back to life, and then, oh my gosh, like, the weird nature of the world, like, created another slayer because technically she was dead, and then there's that weird conflict. And then she has this, like, really kind of very attractive librarian guy that's constantly trying to help her and who is very British and is adorable. And then she has her ragtag group of friends who constantly cheat on each other and do all kinds of weird things. And then you have poor Oz, who turns into a werewolf and has to, like, live inside of a cell half the time. But then he makes terrible mistakes and causes Buffy to decide that she doesn't like men anymore. And so she becomes a lesbian and then a Wiccan. And then she marries that other, like, they're with that other lady. And then, I don't know. Yeah.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
I rewatched that.
That was a whole thing on our TV screen.
Yeah.
And yes, Configuration Queen is correct. I hate this.
And it is not real.
Yeah, but it's not real.
So that just gets me. Somebody needs to do, like, a mashup homage between Buffy and Lucio Fulci's The Beyond. Because both involve, like, living over a hellmouth.
Oh,
that would make an interesting combination.
Yeah, you could do that. And if you really were
Buffy
bored,
Giallo.
And if we wanted the segue, you could always do a mashup between this movie and Mac and Me.
You could.
And it would turn out that all
they're both
along,
mockbusters.
Mac and Me were the heroes. Just saying. So should we get
also,
to... Go ahead.
This has some ties that I watched this not remembering I had seen it before because I forgot that this was featured on Mystery Science Theater.
Oh, yeah.
And so both Mac and Me and the Atlantic Rim share being featured on one of the newer Mystery Science Theater seasons.
Yeah, but this is not uniquely bad enough to justify being on Mystery Science Theater. Like,
it was controversial. Yeah.
It's schlock. Like, this is schlocky, cheap garbage, basically.
Right.
Like, I don't know. Anyway.
And 100% intentional, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, well, I don't know how intentional. I think that some of the people in this thought they were acting.
Intentional on the cheap, yeah.
Well, yes, on the cheap, but not necessarily the quality of the acting or the absence of any logic in this film whatsoever when characters do things that make no sense.
Right.
Shall we get to our likes about this movie?
Am I going first on the likes?
Yeah, go for it, Daniel.
All right. So the first one that comes to mind as I was watching that I thought about was the character of Dr. Margaret Adams. Oh. I really liked her as a character because she was the only one that seemed sane in the movie. Like, she was always trying to be, like, rational, and she was looking at people like, what the hell's wrong with you? And it was unclear why somebody from NASA is even involved in this, but I appreciated her character for being rational, whereas everybody else, everything they did made absolutely no sense to me.
I would agree with you, except at one point she brings out the cheapest little headgear you've ever seen in your life, and she's trying to convince us that if you wear this, you like get a natural connection to your robot and it'll have natural human instincts and response times, which is insane if you think about it for 2 seconds, because if you can make a giant robot, you can make a robot that has quicker reflexes and timing than a human. And in fact, you wouldn't want your human mind and your robot body to be interconnected because that's really, really stupid. You'd actually want the human mind to be operating the robot, but that the robot is amplifying the human behaviors, which is what we're using actual robot enhancements of human bodies for, such as those little like leg gizmos that like let people lift obscene amounts of weight. That's what you do. And so it makes no sense.
So this is an aside of a point that I would make at some point anyway, I guess. That's true for any blockbuster to me. They're filled with things that make absolutely no sense and are stupid. Like, you give them some little trinket and all of a sudden it makes this miraculous thing possible that doesn't really make sense and isn't necessarily even something great. So, I mean, as a mockbuster / blockbuster, cheap version, in some ways I appreciate this way more than I would appreciate most blockbusters. Like, I'd rather watch Atlantic Rim than Pacific Rim. Pacific Rim I have no interest in watching ever, because to me a blockbuster is like the most boring kind of...
Okay, no. What you just said is possibly the most offensive thing that's ever been said on this show.
Oh.
So... you should like Pacific Rim. It's got weird biology nonsense in it.
Maybe I don't understand what it is then, but... So
in
any case, generally speaking, I would rather watch a cheap version of a blockbuster than an actual blockbuster, because these things are more honest about what blockbusters are. They're empty of story. They have bare-bone plots. The acting often doesn't matter that much. They're just action sequences. They're cuts, very
rapid
cuts, strung together. It's like the latest Vapid Marble movie.
No.
They're fun, and I enjoy them, but...
Pacific Rim is not that.
Okay.
So, it is a blockbuster, and yes, it's got lots of really delightful, astonishing action sequences and stuff, which are pretty cool and all that, but it's a Guillermo del Toro film. And so, it's Guillermo del Toro doing a big, flashy, expensive blockbuster film. This is the guy that gave us Pan's Labyrinth. He's the guy that gave us the first Hellboy in particular, which is, I would argue, a really, really good comic adaptation. And so, there's all the trappings that you would expect of it, but it's sort of like there's some directors where all they really do is blockbusters, and then sometimes they try to do a serious film, and it just doesn't work because that's not their
what they are
milieu, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Guillermo del Toro is sort of like the weird Christopher Nolan for me. He loves genre, absolutely loves genre cinema, but he doesn't do normal genre cinema. So even when he does a, blockbuster type film with humongous action sequences and lots of CG, at its core, it has all these really, really interesting ideas. Pacific Rim still has great ideas despite being just a blockbuster. And unfortunately, the sequel I think loses a lot of that, but that's a whole other monstrosity. I wouldn't say it's Guillermo del Toro's best film, but I'd say it's his most fun. Well, Hellboy's pretty darn fun.
All right, I'll take back the Pacific Rim comment then, and I'll need to watch it sometime.
We'll do a podcast on it,
because I'm maybe
Daniel.
confusing it with a similar movie too. But in any case,
Yeah.
I mean, getting off point, generally speaking, I guess it's kind of one of my likes of this. Kind of like the last movie, this type of movie is a specific thing.
Yeah.
And this is not my thing, but for what this is, it's fine. It's good. There's parts of it that are okay. And to me, what this movie is a mockbuster is sometimes more interesting than many blockbusters are. And so that to me is a like for it. That came off of, though, still my response to your comment on the NASA scientist of it not making sense of why it didn't bother me, because that to me is common just across blockbusters.
That's fair. Yeah, I guess
the action of other characters in this were well beyond what you'd have in blockbusters, of just the utter stupidity and nonsensicalness of it.
I mean, some of it is
Does
like
that make sense at all?
Yes, and some of it's like the sets, because I don't know if that's going to come up, the set design in your dislike, but I'll just bring it up right now that apparently that the U.S. military was going to let them film on a base at some point, and then they read the script and they went, no. Their specific cited reason apparently was they didn't like the portrayal of the military members, which I'm going to be honest, I don't really buy that, because this is not dissimilar from like Battleship, which we've done, or other military themed bad science fiction. So I think they read the script and they went, oh my God, even we non-writers think this is not good. So we don't want our name attached. But yeah, so the set design in this is obscene. So like the brig is like literally a door in a hangar bay with a cot in it. They just found a room. It looks
like a warehouse.
Yeah, like a warehouse
with
room.
Some red light.
Yeah, because they filmed this at like a helicopter pad or something, some of the scenes. So it's so cheap, and there's this moment
but
in
you
the
can't
film.
break into it like you're in a military base.
Even though when they're doing this, it's clearly
until you find a hammer. Like, forget about like using a grenade to burst down the door, or dynamite, or kicking it in. Like, they're looking around at lumber and like, I found something. And he pulls out a hammer.
How do we open this door? Like, what would have been funnier is if the door was unlocked the whole time, because that's the level. Like, these are members of the military and they don't have the ability to like rationally think through. Like, when he yanks on the door is literally going in and out really fast. Like whatever locking mechanism is there ain't holding shit in. So it's ridiculous. And I love this when they first put him in there and they do like a mini montage of him doing like push-ups and like pacing and all of this stuff. And then you find out he's been in there for like half a day. Like, that's it. And I'm like, am I supposed to have taken that seriously? Or is he so unself-aware as a character and so far up his own tush that that's the joke, is he's actually ridiculous. I just didn't know. What's the deal? Nobody knows.
It's unclear. And he has like the martyr complex then too. God. Just leave me. Just leave me. It's like MacGyver would have been out of there in 10 minutes.
He's not bright.
No, not at all. Our introduction to the character is him drunk at a Mardi Gras parade.
He's constantly drunk.
And then he proceeds to get in fight with a guy that he bumps into and doesn't apologize to.
Yeah, who was doing nothing except
in
apparently
an alley.
selling
He was doing
drugs.
Nothing, talking on the phone. Yeah. Well, he was talking on the phones, and he wanted to buy some marijuana, I think.
Yeah, I think that's what the thing
was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they get in a fight with him for no apparent reason that I can think of. Because the natural response in that moment is, I'm sorry, bro, I didn't mean to bump you. And the other guy who just wanted pot is like, nope, no problem, dude, you didn't ruin the Doritos. Like, that's literally what would have happened at that moment. So it's absurd. And the thing is, there's no resolution to this. He is constantly getting hammered in this movie. Every scene outside of the military, it's him taking shots of something constantly. He is an alcoholic. he needs help. And does he get it in this movie? No, because he gets to be a hero at the end. And
making juvenile comments as well throughout it.
Constantly. Yeah. Yeah, it's ridiculous. You can tell I don't have likes.
Okay, the unresolved thing is one of my dislikes, but okay. You got to have at least one like here.
Look, here's what I'll say. I knew going into this film wasn't going to have great computer animation. I just kind of knew. But it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be, because I really thought what we were getting was like a Sharknado type, like that cheap sci-fi, deliberately bad not even B or D, Q movie. And I found that to be not at all offensive. And I was like, yeah, all right. Like I kind of was into it. Even the interiors of the robots when they're like inside, they don't quite make sense, but they just felt kind of fine. A lot of little doodads and gadgets and things they could push and stuff, which I was kind of fine with.
Elliptical machines.
Yeah, it didn't pull me. That part didn't pull me out of the story, which in like a blockbuster film that should have a good budget and then they have bad CG, like that just yanks me right out. This, I was just like, I wasn't expecting great. And then I got better than what I was expecting, and I was just kind of like, oh, all right, like, that's not bad. Like, the monsters are kind of all right. Like, they're kind of neat looking. I don't know what the logic of their bodies is, and I don't know that strictly matters. They're kind of weird, lizardy sea monster creatures that lay very giant eggs that gestate for long periods of time. And it was fine. And the action sequences I thought were generally fine, except for the F-18, which I'll talk about later.
Yeah, most of the action sequences, I agree with all that, were really decently solid and fun to watch. They were the highlights of the movie, right?
For the budget they made this under, like, I can't complain.
Yeah. It's pretty impressive, yeah.
Yeah.
It's just the stock footage of everything was obvious, but yeah.
I know Paul is trying to call me to task, saying that's not really a like, and I do really genuinely think it is.
It's a like. Yeah.
I think to go into a film that visually you don't have much expectation for and to be unoffended by its special effects mostly is, I think, a like. So, there you go. Now, if this cost $250 million and it looked like this, I'd be mad. Because where'd your money go? Because it didn't go to the acting. So, it must have lined the director's pocket or something. It didn't go to cast. There's no way the cast was paid a lot of money to be in this. Like, no. Everyone in this just got a free beach vacation to, like, Pensacola, which I'm just going to let you know right now, guys, not that exciting. Like, if it was Miami, yeah, cool. But this is Pensacola.
Not worth it for doing this movie, at least.
Well, I mean, Pensacola is... I mean, it's fine. It's just not... It's fine. Like, it's pretty, don't get me wrong, but it's also like, it's like Daytona. Like, Daytona's cool if what you just want is to go to a resort and have some, like, sand on the beach and not much else. Actually, I would say Pensacola is actually slightly better, but not by much. Look, I'm sorry, Pensacola, please don't kill me.
We used to have a summer, like my parents, for briefly, because my sister and brother-in-law lived in between Pensacola and Panama City, closer to Pensacola. And so we had a summer place that we went down to for like a year or so, right near there. It's actually, their house was in Seaside, which was used to film The Truman Show. Like all those bright color houses that were in The Truman Show. Anyway, I liked the area. It was pretty. It was fun.
I mean, it's generally pretty. I don't want to take that much away from it. It's just that if you ask, like, where would I send you in Florida? I mean, I would send you to Pensacola before Tallahassee, for sure.
I would go there before Disney World or any of, like, Orlando or any of that mess. So.
Orlando's fine, but just go to Universal. Don't go to Disney World. That's too much. Really, if you go to Florida, go to St. Augustine. St. August is gorgeous. And even if you don't like St. Aug, you just drive a little south and you get all kinds of, like, really remote, beautiful beaches. Anyway, moving on.
All right. Any other likes? I have one other like.
Go for it.
Graham Greene. So Graham Greene is an actor that's well known in lots of things, probably best known for Dances with Wolves. He's Canadian from Oneida Nation, I believe. And he, in this movie, does not give a shit. I love, like, as the Admiral, all of his lines are given. Like, no matter what the emotion is, it's the same inflection, the same lines. And it kind of works for an admiral that just doesn't give a shit, this old guy. But it's perfect also for, from the cast, he's the most recognizable face, I would say. And he doesn't care about this movie.
He does not.
And it's just, it's to the point where it's comic. Every scene he's in is just a joy for me to watch. His acting or not acting of how he's doing this is just perfect.
What's funny is when you put
again,
him...
it does kind of fit like an elderly, admiral that doesn't give a shit about what other people think about him or what he's going to do.
100%. He's just going to do his thing. It is funny, though, watching him next to other actors in this movie that are clearly trying but can't make the material work, because he does not. There's this is the most canned performance he could give. He came into this and was like, this is not the height of my career I was hoping for. It's almost like he came in and it did like one take of his most pan take he could make, and then just went, I'm not giving you anything else because you didn't pay for it. And just left. Yeah, I agree with you. Like, Geis is given something. Like, the actor for Geis is Geis, really trying.
He's hamming it up.
100%.
Yeah, it works for his character as well. Yeah.
It's funny watching him like emote and being like, we really have to do something, Admiral. We gotta do something. And then him just going back like, I don't give a shit.
Get me on the horn and get those subs.
Sit up and shut down, guys. I gotta like get my coffee. Oh Lord. Yeah, he's fun. Yeah. Well, shall we get to dislikes?
Yeah.
All right, Daniel, lay it on us.
So 2 main dislikes. The first one that I had were the details of the movie just annoyed me.
Go on.
And random, like, quick cuts to other random characters and people. So examples of this is when the monster first starts attacking New York City and the robots go to fight him. They make some comments about how they have to evacuate New York City. And I think the Admiral asks, like, how's the evacuation going? And somebody's like, oh, the bridge is all tangled up, like traffic is bad. And they cut to a shot of the bridge, and you hear all these horns honking, like traffic backed up, right? But you look at the image, and the cars are all flowing. There's like barely any traffic. It's like, what the hell? And then it cuts immediately to scenes of people on the phone, really bad. You gotta get out. Get out of there. Go be safe. Like, really badly delivered lines.
Yeah.
Like, people in offices calling their loved ones, I guess, to, like, get out of the city.
Yeah.
Another moment like that is earlier on where the Admiral was saying, when he does his line of get on the horn, give me some subs, give me Italian and Marines, and then the guy does that and he comes back, anything else? And he goes, get on the horn again. What do you want me to get? Tell him to send everything else. And then they cut to some random guy, we had no idea who is in an office. Send in the SEALs. Send in the aircraft carriers. And it's like, who is this guy? How does he have the authority to do this? And then it just cuts back to the, the Admiral doing things. So there's like these little cuts that are just poorly established, badly delivered. And then there's details that make no sense, like the bridge. Another one would be the monster goes to attack and you see like a bloody arm all of a sudden. And it's like everything else, the monster, like you get squished. Yeah. Why is like the person just drop over dead and all of a sudden they just have a little blood on their arm?
That's normal.
Yeah, there's random bodies lying around after the attacks in bodies. Like, how did they get in that position? They're like sitting up perfectly, all bloodied, their eyes open.
I gotta say, you reminded me of another light.
Those details just bugged the hell out of me as I watched this. So.
You just brought up for me another light, which I'm gonna throw out because it's related to something we were just talking about. Because Andrew and I were in the Discord watching the film together. And both her and I just cracked up the first time someone got mushed by one of the monsters. Because I wasn't expecting.
Splat.
I thought exactly what you were describing. Like someone just fell over. There was some blood. I thought that's what we were getting. But like he got legit crunched, like a balloon of human. Like he just.
It's like in Monty Python when the foot drops down. You can just hear plop.
It was amazing. And they do that a handful of times where someone just gets full-on squished by it. And that was brilliant. And so I'll point that out. But I agree with you, by the way, about the details not always lining up. The one that stands out to me the most is when Treach, whatever blue or whatever color he was, who like is looking for some dude's kid. And he goes into the building with his gun drawn.
Alexandra.
And he's like, oh, where are you at? Where are you at? And I'm just like, why are you holding the gun? What is the gun for? You're not storming, a facility, right? It's literally a building on fire in which a kid is trapped. So what was
there are no hostiles.
Right. Like, let's be real. Logically, it makes no sense because if the only thing you're fighting is a giant alien lizard monster, which a pistol is going to do nothing to. So all you're going to do is scare
he's not alien. He's native, just a few million years old, 100 million years old.
No big deal.
But yes.
Yeah, the whole thing, I was just like, what are you doing? What was and the military characters, the three main ones, do most, with the exception of the female character who mostly doesn't. They constantly do dumb things, especially Red, who does dumb things constantly. And it's over and over and over. And I find it obnoxious and I hate it.
So I forgot about that, but the best part of that was when Jim was looking for the girl, calling out, Alexandra, looking for her. And you hear I thought I heard other people crying out that he just basically ignores.
Yeah.
And then he eventually finds her, and his first thing is not like, hey, you're injured, or like, we got to get you out of here. It's like, are you Alexandra? And I'm thinking, if she's not, are you going to leave her there?
Behind?
Yes. He seems focused only on finding this random dude's daughter.
That's why he's got the gun. He's just showing up and like, are you Alexandra? No? Bam! And he's gonna go person to person looking for the right kid.
But until she says, like, nods and gives recognition, then he starts talking to her about, like, we got to get out of here and things like that.
That is one thing, like
what are your priorities?
The scene makes no sense, but, like, Treach, I wouldn't say he's good, per se, but I would say he's the best in the film.
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
You can see
that was one of the things for
there's
he's
ability.
Actually really good acting.
Yeah, there's some ability there, and I kind of was a little sad because I was like, this should not have been you shouldn't have been in this one, buddy, because I feel like he's
the most
capable.
Natural.
Yes, he is, and when he's talking to the little girl, it's there's like a lot of, like, his acting feels, I agree, it feels natural. It feels like he's really trying to empathize with the girl and get her to, kind of calm down. And almost every scene with him, he doesn't get enough to really, they should have made him the main character, honestly, because he's just the best in the film. And I don't know if Treach has done much significantly past this point. I didn't look, but I would say he deserves a shot because he actually was pretty solid overall. I mean, not great, but, he also had this movie's material to work with. So, there you go.
He did the best with what he had, I think.
I agree. Yeah. Has Treach been in other stuff?
Oh, no idea. Naughty by Nature, I know he's in. But...
Yeah, he has been in other stuff. Yeah. He's got 84 acting credits, by the way.
Well,
I don't recognize really a lot of these, but that doesn't really mean anything. I mean, other than like there's a CSI that he was in and Person of Interest. So he's got a decent little acting career. Okay.
Well, the main guy was famous for like Baywatch and Witchblade, I think, and a bunch of
neither
other
of those
TV
are good,
things.
buddy.
Well, no, but I mean, he was well known
especially.
for it, right? Yeah. The TV series. Yeah.
I don't know.
All right. Dislikes, Shaun.
Okay. So this is the second movie where I have gotten annoyed by inaccuracies that should not be in this film. The jet that is in this movie for really just one scene is an FA-18. The FA-18 does not have a 50 cal on it. It has an M61 Vulcan. A 50 cal does not shoot 6,000 rounds per minute. It does not. It shoots considerably less. The M61 Vulcan, however, does shoot 6,000 rounds per minute. It is a 20 millimeter gun. It is a Gatling-style rotary cannon, y'all, and that thing shoots fast. And the FA-18 can't carry that many bullets, so they do little bursts. And when it shoots, it sounds like a very obnoxious fart that's been muffled in a chair. You can literally see video of it shooting. It's shooting literally an obscene amount of bullets for every little beep, beep, beep. It's a lot, guys. So when they say, oh, get him with the 50 cals or whatever the line is, my brain immediately broke. I was so mad instantaneously because there's no reason you needed to get this one detail wrong. This shit is on Wikipedia. You could Google it in 5 seconds.
Shaun, you realize that the character was Spitfire, played by the director Jared Cohn.
I don't care.
And this particular jet had been tricked out by the director and modified to be able to carry different munitions.
No, that would not happen in the U.S. military.
That's why.
You don't put a less effective weapon on a gun on a plane. Also, your character's name's Spitfire. I wonder who made the Spitfire, guys. Do you know who made the Spitfire? Would it have been the Americans, you think? Was it them? No, it was not. It was actually the British. Thank you very much. So you're dumb, director. I hate you. But no, I just, look, I don't expect your military stuff to be accurate, per se, like in like a purist kind of sense. Like, I can watch a Top Gun movie and realize there's a bunch of stuff that happens in that is insane and ridiculous. It would never happen in any of those contexts. However, when you get like super basic stuff wrong that you should get correct, I get really annoyed. It's
easy to have correct.
This one's easy. Like, I get the sound effect. No, the sound effect would have been easy to find. Even in 2013, I could literally find like 36 examples of this sound effect. It's fine. But I'll give them that. But it's not a 50 cal. Like, it's just not. I'm sorry. You don't know what you're talking about because, like, I don't know if you've ever shot a 50 cal before, but if a jet flies past a 50 cal and you load a few rounds in it, that jet's not going down, buddy. It's not going down with a 50 cal. It's not happening. I'm going to tell you.
Well, neither did the monster.
No, that's true. The monster didn't. Also, I just need to say, that's insane. Also, the idea that like a kaiju is going to get like 150 rounds of a Gatling gun shoved into it and it's not going to field nothing. But a missile, a little Sidewinder missile, is somehow going to blow the whole thing up, which is not how a Sidewinder missile works, by the way. These are not
in the mouth.
Yeah, in the mouth. Which is also ridiculous because they're literally designed. They're not designed for that purpose. They're not humongous explosive devices. They're designed to take down aircraft and small target destruction. That if you want to blow up a giant kaiju, you get really big stuff. You put a B-52 or whatever the equivalent is now up into the air and you drop big things on top of it.
Well, to be fair, they started with 5 people with like rifles.
True.
To try to defeat the monster.
Which they come back with later.
So this is a step up from that. Yes.
That's ridiculous. I also just, I hate the idea.
5 men and women, and not 5 guys. They actually, one good point of this is that they have a good diversity in the military here, I would say.
That is a fair point.
Of service people.
You're right. You're right, it does, and I hate this movie for that. How dare you? Because we've watched some more expensive films that were far less diverse than this.
Oh, yeah. Given how juvenile it is and its the script and how juvenile the main characters are, everybody else in the military is, kind of.
I just don't like it. I'm sorry. I just don't. I mean, you
That's
can
fair.
also complain about this movie for, all of the ways in which Red is one of the worst characters that has ever been written into cinema. There's a love triangle in this story that also exists.
All right.
Yeah, go on.
So that's my other big dislike.
Go for it. Yeah.
Is that there's no characterization in this movie at all, really, or character development, right?
9.
But they try to shoehorn it in. One is with Jim, who plays Green, who's the one that goes, played by Treach, that goes in to rescue this girl, and he's like, yeah, you better take care of this daughter. She's my goddaughter now. He just declares himself the godfather of this girl that he rescued. But you try to show like his humanity and his concern and the fact that of the group, he's like the responsible one that's actually doing shit appropriately and responsibly, as opposed to Red, who's reckless and like destroys puppy orphanages in the process of trying to save the city, right? In any case, they're trying to like show like a little depth in his character, but then they go nowhere with it. Similarly, they try to show that the female character, Blue, who her actual name I forget, but Blue is in a relationship with Red, but it turns out she also had a thing, or maybe will be continuing the thing with Green. And they bring this up in a bar while they're drinking, and they're about to address it when like the phone rings and they get called to duty. Okay, that's common in movies to like prolong the tension, right?
Yep.
But then we never hear of it again. That's it. Done.
Never comes up.
Doesn't come up again. And so it's like, why have those things in there? No reason. So that annoyed the piss out of me too, that they bothered to put these things in.
Yeah.
But then it would have been better if they just completely avoided any attempt at making these characters look like humans. Because it was actually worse trying to make them appear like actual human rounded characters.
Correct.
But then doing it so half-assed that you like pull the rug out or just never bring it up again.
There is zero character development of any kind. No. Right? Red, who is shown being an alcoholic in literally every non-military scene we've got, who drinks like out of the fire hydrant direct, right? Does he deal with his problem? He does not. At any point. What do they do literally at the end? Him and the Admiral are going to go get themselves a drink, right? The relationship between Red and Blue, which I'll call a relationship with quotation marks around it, because are they in a relationship? I don't know. It's not clear Blue wants to be in a relationship with Red, although Red, who is drunk half the time, keeps bringing it up. But I don't know. And
slapping her butt.
Yeah, he does that, which it's gross, right? But she doesn't resolve that. Red and Green never resolved their weird thing because it's very clear there was more than just a little kiss that they had. They got the boogie on, which again, there's a question there, which is, did they get the boogie on, but they're together? Red and Blue are together? Or is it that Red wants to be with Blue, but Blue is torn between Green and Red? We don't know, because at the end, none of this is developed, right? Red in no way improves. Blue, there was no inclination. Like, she doesn't have any flaws, really, other than apparently she gets lightheaded sometimes, which, okay, whatever, right? And Green, I guess his thing is he doesn't feel good about all of the death, and he wants to go help people because he doesn't feel comfortable, I guess. So is he going to leave the military? We don't know. They never come up with that. There is a sequel to this, which I'm not watching. So I don't know.
None of the original people are in it or characters, I don't think.
Nobody changed it. Even Graham Greene's Admiral at the end. Like, literally there's a line where he comes in and Red is in the brig, which is just a warehouse room with a cot. And he's like berating Red for all of the ways he broke the rules, and then he's like, "I've never been more prouder in my life." He must deadpan delivery. Yeah. And I'm like, are you? Is this legitimate? And I don't know. His character doesn't change either. The guy who plays the Geis, as far as I know, he is he in prison? Dead? I don't know.
No, he's when they like subdue him after he tries to shoot the admiral, or he does shoot the admiral in the arm, which is a flesh wound that then we never see the wound again.
Yeah.
The admiral seems fine, but yeah, he's being handcuffed, and he's shouting how you're all going to regret this.
Oh,
we
that's
need to send the nukes. We need to send the nukes. You're making a huge mistake. So I'm thinking, like, okay, he didn't go quietly. Maybe there is something to this. Maybe there's something like they are going to regret. Like, maybe the nuke, even though as terrible as was, maybe that was actually turns out to be possibly the best thing that they should have done, because it's going to get worse. Nope, we're never going to mention it again. We're not going to have him come in. We're not going to see if he regrets what he did.
No.
Or if he's still batshit crazy. We don't know.
We don't know.
And there's no inclination for you to like try to like imagine it yourself, what these features are.
None. Configuration Queen in chat wonders if the red, blue, green character names is a reference to the colors used in Pacific Rim. And I will just remind everybody, this is a direct ripoff of Pacific. It's a mockbuster. So mockbuster is a category. I don't know, Configuration Queen probably knows this, but for anyone at home that doesn't, the mockbuster is like loosely a category name for films that are released relatively near a much more expensive film designed to sort of capitalize on the sort of popularity of that perceived better film, essentially. And so,
or even confusion over the names.
Or confusion of the names, yeah. So
people that see it, to rant is like, oh, is this a sequel, or is this a prequel to Pacific Rim?
Yeah. Yeah, so really just trying to like ride off the coattails of a bigger film that had a bigger budget and was likely quote unquote better, right? This is much more common, I would say, like especially in the sci-fi movie era, when there were clearly obvious ripoffs just left and right of all kinds of films. But yeah, it's fun.
That would be a question for David, of how old the mockbuster is.
He would know if anyone knows. It'd be him.
I would have to think about it for a while. I mean, it was definitely there in the 80s, but how far predates that?
No idea.
There were, I guess, even if you think back to like the 30s, mockbusters designed around vampires and Dracula and the Universal monsters.
Yeah, there must have been.
But those are the earliest that I can think of. But it might even, go back to the silent era. But anyway, random thought.
Well, look, I think we have, unless there's anything else anyone needs to bring up, we are basically at it. So we can get to our final thoughts and our grades. No more likes. What am I talking about? No more. No more likes. So Daniel, what is your final thought and grade about Atlantic Rim?
My final thought was that despite all the terrible things in it that annoyed me, it wasn't that painful to watch. And there were, like Shaun said in his it was better than I expected. From the effects and the action, and it's rapid moving, it's not overly long. And so at the end, I would probably give this like a D+.
Wow, okay. Well, it's still bad. So I'll take that for what it is.
It's bad. It's I don't need to see it again. I was, right before we started recording, I actually started rewatching the Mystery Science Theater version of it, which was fun to watch. It's nothing I ever want to see again. It's not great. If this were a type of genre that I was really into, like I really had like a thing for mockbusters, I would grade it higher. Because I think as far as mockbusters go, this is actually probably one of the, probably has more going for it than many of the other ones that I have happened to see.
That's not good. Well, I guess for me, technically this film is better than I expected it to be. However, it fails for me in one critical area that other, like, things that are not trying to be quote-unquote good, but are just trying to have fun my big example would be Z Nation, which is a show that following on the sort of like Walking Dead zombie like craze that happened. And Z Nation just abandons the idea that it is about like the really in-depth character study kind of stuff. It is a comedy that has a heart, and it does that really remarkably well, and is honestly, I would say, a really good, especially after like the first few episodes, really, really good at what it does, and it just sort of leans into what it is. This is a film where I find the main character so unlikable that I actually wish the person getting squished at the beginning was him, and that the remaining two were the two that we got for the rest of the movie. And so for me, it's a film that I don't ever want to watch again, even if it is self-aware to a degree, because I just find it detestable. So, but that said, if I had to choose this between last month's choice, the Camp Sunshine Garbage Festival, my adult self would say I would rather watch this.
Oh, God, no.
Oh, yeah, 100%. I would watch this in a heartbeat. If you gave me a choice, which film would I want to watch for 24 hours straight? It's this film.
That other one had heart, joy, and artistry to it.
No, it did not.
This had none of that.
It doesn't. I agree, but it also is lifeless, and you could probably start a drinking game. So there you go.
Oh yes, yeah.
Anyway, but it's a D- for me. It's not it's not as offensive as I suppose it could be. I mean, it is weirdly diverse, as you pointed out, which is insane. I'm sorry, Hollywood. We need to talk about this.
Yeah, that's.
This film, this is not a good movie. They didn't have a large budget, and yet somehow it is a more diverse, and I want to be clear, diverse in the way that even people who get annoyed by like diversity would be fine with, because the characters aren't whatever they are like for any other reason than that's just the actors they got, right? Like so. Like, the fact that one character's black and one's a woman and one's a white guy and one's of native descent and all of the, like, none of that matters. They're just characters. They're just people that are there. And all the
background characters aren't just all white men.
Right. They're black men, they're white men, they're women's, there's all kinds of folks.
Or you see, like, just one group and another group. This is just a mixture of everybody and on most of the scenes. Yeah.
So I think what we're saying is, Hollywood, when you spend $250 million on a movie and you're less good at the diversity thing than this film, y'all fucked up. Y'all fucked up. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. All right. So that gives us a D average, by the way.
Yep. That's an easy one. We don't even need Prince Justin to...
yeah, I could do that math for once. Trivia Matt's in chat does say, I recommend the Kraken Busters podcast and now webcast about kaiju incursions that started in World War II and lasted for decades. Good stuff. So there's a link, which is Keith Pill, PILLE.com, I think it is. I'll try to put the link in the show notes for folks, if I remember. Yeah. Anyway, Kraken Busters, if you're looking for it, give it a shot. It might be interesting. So, yeah. All right. Let's close it out. Folks at home, thank you for being here if you're live, and thank you for listening at home. If you'd like to let us know what you thought about the episode, skiffyandfanty@gmail.com. Join our Discord as well at our Patreon page. And also, I will note, if you love this show and you'd like to contribute, please do get in contact with us at skiffyandfanty@gmail.com. That could be really anything, including wanting to be a guest on the show, or if you really don't want to be in the front of things, if you'd like to help us with the show, that we could always use more hands on deck. If you'd like to write something for the blog, that's also an option as well. So there are a lot of things that you can do. So please get in touch with us. We're happy to have more folks on board, whether you're on the podcast side or not. So there you go. We're on all of the major stuff that isn't run by an evil person, mostly. Well, no, we're on Threads, which I guess technically, you get the idea. Mostly. We're on Blue Sky, Threads, Mastodon, YouTube, and a whole bunch of other places. Our video versions of this show go up on YouTube. You can find all that at skiffyandfanty.com/skiffyandthings. And then remember, every Friday, 7 p.m. Central, we are live on Twitch at twitch.tv/alphabetstreams we literally record the podcast, which is what we're doing at this moment that I'm recording. If you like what we do, please review us on all your favorite apps, Spotify, iTunes, all of those things. And then if you have $1 even, and you'd like to support the show, help us cover hosting and all that kind of stuff, patreon.com/skiffyandfanty is the place to go. I'm at a bunch of different places. Just go to ShaunDuke.net, Alphabet Streams for my stream stuff, and then ShaunDuke.net/DukeThings to find my other stuff.
You can find me, Daniel, at reading1000lives.com. That's 1000, the number 1000. And, of course, on the Skiffy and Fanty blog.
Yeah.
All right, make us happy, Shaun.
I'm going to, because it's required by the Skiffy and Fanty bylaws that everybody in chat signed on to, including Annie. So I'm going to make it happy, and it's going to be really simple. Daniel, you ready for this?
Does it involve bull butter?
It does not involve bull butter. It does not. I have now developed a new device, Daniel, that when you place it on your head will allow you to synchronize with either a cat or a chipmunk. You get to choose. This will allow you to feel and exist as one of those animals, in this case a chipmunk because you've chosen it, would allow to do. You will also finally gain the secret of the chipmunk empire that lives underneath the ground. All you have to do
is sing the Chip and Dale Rescue Ranger theme song if I were still a chipmunk?
No. They hate that song, Daniel. I've already communed. I just communed with them. I don't think we have chipmunks in Iowa, but let's just pretend we do. I've communed with them, and they said, do not sing that song. It offends us. So there we go.
All right. I will respect the wishes.
I don't know what I'm doing, guys. I'm sorry. And on that note, happy ending. And see.